do this anymore if you don't want to. But today, we're going to read it from a symbolic and metaphysical understanding. Okay? Is that cool?
That's cool.
All right. Y'all follow me?
Amen.
So today, I entitled the lesson, okay. It's called Got Solid Food. Like, got milk. Okay, the milk reference in Hebrews. But the message is really about the power of symbol. I put laugh in here. I hope y'all will laugh during that. But thank you. This excerpt from the Bible and the corresponding poem that I said are helpful to illustrate the fact that it's time for us to get off the milk. Okay? Everybody say, get off the milk.
Get off the milk.
Okay, say it again. Get off the milk.
Get off the milk.
Right, we are grown. Not y'all, my little brother and sister. Y'all grown. We are grown. Okay, it's time to get off the milk. The poem to me is a reflection of the fact that most of us are still only drinking the milk of spiritual understanding, reflected in our love of the symbol or the man, and have not yet moved on to the solid food or the ingestion of his and other teachings or examples. So what are symbols? Symbols are images, pictures the mind chooses to construct meaning. In the words of Dr. Muada Ashby, the human mind understands things by first making a mental picture of it and then associating the mental concept with other ideas and thoughts. Symbols are how we interact with the hidden and all-present God, which is all things, and what we call reality. Without them, the mind would not be able to function or interact with creation. The danger arises, however, when we mistake the symbol or image for reality rather than the meaning behind it or what it represents. And as a result, we begin to worship the symbol instead of cultivating the qualities it represents and developing it in ourselves.
Amen.
Symbols such as the Christ, Buddha, Krishna, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Obama are external representations of qualities which lie deep within each and every one of us. So get off the milk. Say it one more time. Get off the milk.
Get off the milk.
I know they said it does a body good, but only in the infantile stages of human development. After that, it becomes more of an impediment or hindrance to the body's natural function and development. And metaphorically, it stunts your spiritual growth. Okay. Taking some classes on macrobiotics and just healthy eating, and milk actually produces mucus in the body. Okay. Our body stops producing the enzyme that breaks it down, and it's interesting. It's like 70% of the human population. There's still that 30%, which is like Scandinavians or something. They can drink milk all they want to, just because of the environment in which they live and their lifestyle. But for most of us, we got to get off the milk, even if you like it. It's causing us to be stagnant and stunning our spiritual growth and development. So the big question, and this is what I do with my students all the time. And these are the questions that I just want you to simply kind of keep in your mind and reflect on. You can write them down if you want to. But these are some of the questions that we're going to kind of hint on and decipher in this message and this biblical passage. Why are we not teachers or further along spiritually? What's holding us back? How do we become the teachers this text says that we ought to be? What does our own life symbolize? What is our mythology? I bought my dad a guide to making your own autobiography last year for his birthday. I don't know if he uses it or not. But one of the things that I was thinking about when I gave it to him was the fact that we usually wait till people pass or when they're dead and gone to try and chronicle their life and derive meaning and understanding from it. And I wanted him to do it while he was still here. While he's still here, I wanted him to think about his life as an example, as God's life, as a divine example of what attributes he is expressing that come from God. We can only experience God through ourselves.
That's right.
That's why God in His words, be the change you want to be in the world, is so important, because God can only come into the world through us. We are the portal. Okay, so what type of life are you living? So let us now turn our attention to deciphering the passage we just read and look at it beyond the words or symbols that it represents. And people, I know y'all think that metaphysics is really complicated and difficult. When I mention it to my students, they're like, oh my gosh, what is that about? You must be super smart. No. No, I'm alright. Did well in school, but I'm just average. And it's really not. It's simply the practice of looking beyond, the transcending, which is what the meta means, the physical, to get to the essence or the true reality of existence. As we decipher, you will find that I will often reference the original Greek of which the passage was written. As I mentioned earlier before reading, I'll probably have a different version of the Bible. And this is because the ancient Hebrew and Greek languages, in contrast to our own English language, are made up of symbols which have various levels of, and layers of meaning. And that's very important. That's why there's so many different versions of the Bible, is because when you look at the original Hebrew or the original Greek from which these stories were copied into the KJV and the NASB and all the new versions of the Bible that we have, our language is very limited in its ability to kind of have multiple layers of meanings. If you look at one character, Aleph, for example, in the Hebrew, which is the A, you have about, I'm only going to cover a few levels of meaning, but there's more levels of meaning that I don't even know. And like hieroglyphics as well, they're pictures, okay? And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but then we're using this picture worth 1,000 words to construct a word, okay? So we have various levels within that one word that has been kind of condensed into a or into a particular word that they've transliterated and trying to communicate what the original text was saying. So in the letter I have an ox, okay? Its hieroglyph is an ox. You also have in Aleph you have the sound okay? And then you also have the other letters. Aleph, like it's not just one letter. Aleph is A-L-E-E-F. Okay, so that's only 3 levels of meaning right there. And then you have the numerical value. Okay, Aleph means 1. Okay, so that's 4 meanings. Like, so when they try and put these try and derive meaning or condense all of those 5 levels of meaning into one, we're gonna miss something inherently. We're missing a lot of what scriptures are saying. And I learned that from Dr. Copeman. I told him I was going to reference him today because he's been very vital and helpful with me relearning Hebrew. I actually took some Hebrew classes in seminary, but I'm relearning Hebrew from the Kabbalistic and ancient African understanding, okay, which internalizes it a lot more and comes from a different perspective. So remember that. And I'm not telling you all that you have to go out and learn a whole language, but more importantly, expressed in those symbols and in those letters is a different understanding, a different perspective of who we are in relation to God and what's going on in reality. And that's what was written by the original writers of the text. Okay? And that's why we have to decode things, is because we have to break past those various levels of meaning in order to get to the meat, the solid food, okay, and get past that milk. Everybody say, get off the milk.
Get off the milk.
Just making sure y'all awake. So the previous verse gives us reference to the Christ as a priest according to the order of Melchizedek, or King of Righteousness, and that actually is in the preceding passage. And I just wanted, because it says concerning him, so I wanted to let you know who the him is. The him that we're talking about is Christ in this passage. Okay. So it says, concerning him we have much to say, and it is hard to explain since you have become dull of hearing. And so the concerning him is the Christ, which is symbolic of our higher self. The text says that there is more concerning Christ, which in Truth and Transformation Ministries, because we have internalized Christ, that is simply an expression of our higher self. Christ is an expression of our higher self, a higher state of consciousness and being that we want to achieve here on earth. But we are limited due to what the text describes as dullness of hearing. Immediately when I heard dullness of hearing, I heard my mom's voice telling me to turn my music down or I'm going to go deaf. Okay? Because I just listen to music loudly, and Fatima hates it as well. But yeah, it does impair your hearing. Okay? And the Toltecs, I'm going to reference that. Toltecs are an ancient mythical or historical ancestors mentioned in the narratives of the Aztecs or Native Americans. And they were a society of scientists, architects. They are actually constructors of pyramids. Okay? You ever heard of Teotihuacan?
You better preach.
Teotihuacan is an area in Mexico that is similar to the pyramids in Egypt. It's basically another structure of pyramids in the world, and they basically have a concept which I use to describe